Mirror here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team's going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. CEO, baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
Straight gas snapshot of the game of baseball. The stars, the young first-time All-Stars on display last night. And the way the game is played right now, that's the way the All-Star game went. You had a ton of strikeouts, and the difference were home runs. And you hit a go-ahead home run in All-Star game. Jarren Duran of the Boston Red Sox, you are the All-Star game MVP. But straight gas, just flamethrower after flamethrower. It's the way the game of baseball is played. It's the way teams are constructing their rosters, and what we saw last night is what we're going to see the rest of the season. It was a snapshot of the game of baseball. So as you look down and see Corbin Burns, Tyler Skubal, Tanner Houck, Garrett Crochet, Mason Miller, who, by the way, clocked the pitch at 103.6 miles per hour. The young ace pitcher coming out of the bullpen. Cole Reagan, Seth Lugo, Kirby Yates, Emmanuel Clase closing things out. The AL showcased what the game is all about. And it's changed. And this is what you have, your summer showcase. And then as we look to the second half of the season, who are you buying, who are you selling, who can hold on to those division leads? What it do in a good Wednesday morning to everyone. Welcome in to the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buck once again joined by Cy Riley this morning, the former Lobo linebacker. Now he's broadcasting, he's podcasting, he's dropping all the takes. Been with us here on the opening drive. We got Bobcat holding it down and taking your calls and texts all morning long. 505-246-0610. And you know, Cy, when we look at the game of baseball, and it has changed, and we never use the word crafty anymore when we're talking about these dudes. It is just straight gas. That's the way the game is played. You throw 100, you're going to be thrown in the All-Star game.
Yeah, when you have a guy like Paul Skeens, rookie, coming from Pittsburgh, straight out of LSU, winning national championship, like, this is the type of scenario that you would want for him. And for all of these young guys, when they're coming into the big leagues, you know, being able to showcase what they have, what made them such a pick right off the bat, getting the nod to start. But, you know, it was a great game all around. Shohei was able to hit a 3-run home run. You know, and it's funny because they were just talking about him with Aaron Judge, and next pitch he hits a home run. So it's just a great way to showcase all the talent throughout the entire league. You know, I'm saddened that the AL took the dub like they always seem to do. But no, it was a great showcase.
Yeah, 10 of the last 11 for the AL, but really, you know, it highlights the game and how things have changed. And when you look at these pitchers, and we talk so much about pitch counts, you mentioned, you know, Paul Skeens and what he's done through 11 starts in his career, the strikeouts, ERA under 2, being pulled from 2 games to the no-hitter after 6+ innings. Things are just different when it comes to pitchers, but just in terms of the talent of these pitchers, it's fantastic across the board. So that's one thing. Yeah, as a fan, maybe you have to watch baseball a little bit differently. You don't see guys throwing complete games. You don't see guys throwing 150 pitches. That part has changed just because of what they're doing with their arms. But there's some immense talent out there. And then you look forward. And these division leaders at the break, we had Baltimore, Cleveland, Seattle in the AL, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, and the Dodgers in the NL. And I think the best race down the stretch, it is going to be Baltimore and the Yankees. The Yankees 1 game behind the Baltimore Orioles. We saw Corbin Burns start the All-Star game last night for the AL, pitching with the Orioles this season. I think that's going to be the best division race down the stretch, is the Orioles, who made the statement last year the young team that they had has that experience. I think the Orioles are the more talented team, but the one thing the Yankees keep on doing through the injuries to their pitching staff, through their injuries to their lineup, is they keep mashing the baseball. They're still plus 106 when it comes to run differential. O's, Yankees, I'm going to lead towards Baltimore holding them off, but I think that's going to be the tightest race. Cleveland has a 4.5 game lead over the Twins in the AL Central. And, man, you saw it last night, 5 All-Stars for the Cleveland Guardians. I think that they hold on in the Central. And then the other race you look at, the Mariners and the Astros. And the Astros started the season so slow. A lot of questions, injuries, big-time injuries to the pitching staff for the Houston Astros. Then you look at the standings, and they're just 1 game back. Mariners 52-46, Astros 50-46. If I'm looking at the American League right now in terms of division winners, I gotta say somehow, somewhere, I think Houston is the team that jumps the Mariners when I'm just looking at the AL races.
No, I completely agree with that assessment. You know, Houston did not start the way that they wanted to. I mean, they're 6-10 in their last 10, or 6-4 in their last 10 games. You know, down a game against to Seattle. So I feel when things get rolling, especially as we've always seen with Houston in the playoffs, they've always been able to come on strong. So we all know that they'll be a playoff team and a playoff contender, but I see them getting past the Mariners by a couple of games. And then, like you said, the Orioles and Yankees, such great teams. You have the Orioles young, Yankees with all the experience and veterans that they have. Again, it's hard to beat good offense, and the Yankees have always been able to put the bat onto the ball, get it out into play. They have the pieces, Soto, Aaron Judge. So, yeah, it's going to be a spectacular race down the end. I see the Yankees being able to climb. I mean, again, they're only a game back too. I think those headers when they're playing against each other going down the rest of the way are going to be absolutely crucial. If the Yankees are able to win a couple of those series, then, yeah, I can see that going their way. But, again, if Baltimore holds them off, you know, being able to take a couple of series back from them, it's a toss-up between those two.
Yeah, and, of course, I think when you look at how good those teams are, the Yankees and even the Twins chasing the Guardians, I'm expecting all those teams to hold on to the playoff spots as well when it comes to the wild card. But just looking at who stays hot, because there's going to be some regression, and it's a team like the Phillies. They have the best ERA in baseball. They've also been mashing the baseball, plus 110, so they have the best run differential in the National League right now, 8.5 games above the Braves. And even with some of that regression in the pitching staff, which is just natural in the second half of the season, I think the Phillies hold on. I think the Braves get a wild card. I don't think they can overcome 8.5 games, because I don't see a major collapse coming for Philadelphia, especially when they got Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber back in the lineup the last couple of weeks off the IL. And the Mets, how hot they got over the last couple of weeks. I think it's going to be really hard for them to sustain the chase down those teams in the NL East. I do think it's going to get interesting in the Cardinals and Brewers and St. Louis. Even, there's not a lot of the household names, the Cardinals, that you remember. They're just a team that finds a way in the second half. So I think in the Central, the Brewers and Cardinals races, it's 4.5 game lead right now for Milwaukee. I think that's going to be really tight. But the Brewers, you look at plus 79 versus minus 38 in the run differential, and that's something that the Cardinals, they got to figure out better offense in the second half of the season if they want to run down the Brewers. And it doesn't matter how many injuries they have. The Dodgers, you look at their pitching staff, you look at the IL, it's a who's who of pitchers that are not available, of some guys that are done for the rest of the season. But I don't doubt the Dodgers. They just find a way. They're 7 games up on the Diamondbacks and Padres right now, and I will always trust in the Dodgers to win that division when it comes down to the wild card races and watching the Mets and Diamondbacks and Padres. And you have to throw also in there the Pittsburgh Pirates, who are at 500 but just a game and a half back of a wild card spot. It's going to be a lot of fun. And you mentioned who we saw start the All-Star game last night, Paul Skeens, and he stay hot and be that difference maker every 5 days for the Pirates. And the answer to that question is, of course, yes.
Yeah, the Dodgers right now, they haven't been playing too particularly well. They're 3-7 in their last 10 games, yet they still have a 7-game lead over the Diamondbacks. So I don't see them going anywhere. As their players start getting healthy again, you're going to see Mookie get back in the lineup. And it's just going to be Max Muncy get back in the lineup. So it's going to be great for them to get their players back right as they get into October. Same thing with the National League. Milwaukee Brewers, 3-7 in their last 10, haven't been playing particularly well going into the All-Star break. But, man, if St. Louis and Pittsburgh can string a couple of wins together, I mean, Pittsburgh, now they're 500. Paul Skeens is dealing and dishing. And just bringing a little bit more excitement to the game for, if I'm a Pittsburgh player, all the eyes that are now being focused on the team, creating a different energy that haven't had in a while. So that's good for them, and they got that going for them. But, right now they're down 6.5 games back of the Milwaukee Brewers, again, who haven't been playing particularly well. I see Milwaukee getting their act together as we come down the stretch. And then, you always have the Braves. And you have, the Phillies, but again, the Braves, I don't know what's been going on with them. Like, yeah, they're 8.5 games back. Nobody necessarily thought that they would be this far behind the Phillies to start the season. But again,
Phillies are just so hot, man. They're the best team in baseball right now.
They're just, again, putting the bat to the ball. Then they're not allowing the other team to hit. So, being able to keep the ball out of play for Philadelphia has been crucial, again, led by superstar Bryce Harper. They got a good squad going for them.
We'll take your thoughts throughout the morning. Coming off the All-Star game last night, buy or sell division winners, and who's going to get hot in the second half of the Major League Baseball season. It's 505-246-0610, Sports Animal Hotline and text line. The last night, did you make the trip out to the pit to watch the Lobo alumni, to watch the Enchantment? It turned out to be a tight game between the two, but it was a good environment the last couple days with those squads, and also the moment pregame, seeing the families of Ruben Douglas and Drew Gordon in town. Aaron was there with the Gordon family. We'll get your thoughts on that and the experience that it was for the Enchantment TBT. It's coming up next. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
It's kickoff time, and Believe podcasts are here.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
What's going on? Who are you guys?
Well, sir, I'm going to pick you up at the DWI checkpoint for drunk driving.
And that's when I have to come down to get you out of jail.
Well, temporarily. I'm Judge Torres.
They call him the Hammer. Hey, hot off the presses, champ.
I'm real proud of you, honey.
Way to make him happy back home, Captain. Who's that? That's your new buddy in jail.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us. And my wife and our daughter, they didn't make it.
Hey, look! It's Dwight Goodman!
Boom! This place is hot. Let's see if anyone needs my help. How about I drive you madman home, huh?
I got this, Dwight. I'm the designated driver. Boom.
Sweet. Does anyone need Dwight's help getting home tonight?
No thanks, Romeo. I've got a taxi all lined up.
Drive safe, Dwight.
Boom! Boom!
These days, it's important to know people and businesses you can trust. There's a lot of places where you can buy a vehicle, but there's only a few local dealerships where you'll find honest people who have your best interests in mind. And Fiesta Kia is one of them. We've been helping our neighbors save money and drive dependable cars for years, and we'd love to help you. With new Kias arriving daily, you'll love our selection and the peace of mind you'll get driving a Kia from Fiesta. So stop by and see us today at Fiesta Kia on Lomas, or just start driving now at fiestakia.com.
Burglary takes place in the United States approximately every 15 seconds. International Protective Service is your answer for commercial and residential security in all of Albuquerque. IPS will work with your monitoring company for fast, reliable response times. You can rest easy knowing you, your family, or your company is watched over by International Protective Service. Call International Protective Service today.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us. And my wife and our daughter, they didn't make it.
Hi, I'm Steve Stucker here for Dr. Robert Melendez and the Juliet Eye Institute. You may remember me like this, but no more. The glasses are gone. I tossed them months ago because of a brand new procedure from Dr. Melendez known as RLE, Refractive Lens Exchange. The latest technology, the best eyesight I've ever had in my life, and you can check it out by clicking on the link in the description right here.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
On 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Well, it was a good moment in the pit last night as the Enchantment, the TB team that is playing in the winner-take-all basketball tournament, played the Lobo alumni squad. You had Tony Snell back in the pit, Doris Gary, Darren Prentice, Daniel Ferris. You run down the list. Former Lobos back playing against the Enchantment squad, which of course has the former Lobo flair themselves mixed in with a Bryce Alford, other players that you just need to compete at that level. Good night. About 2,500 fans showed up to the pit for the event as the Enchantment get ready. Of course, Kenny Thomas coaching the Enchantment, good friend of the opening drive, kicking it with KT throughout the basketball season. But it was, pregame, which the moment really hit home when they honored the families of Drew Gordon, Ruben Douglas, and Greg Brown. Now, it was good to see the Douglas family was there. The Gordon family was there. Browns weren't available, but they did have one member out there. And just to see the emotion in the crowd and the emotion from the players that played with them. And we had a conversation just yesterday with Roman Martinez. If you missed it, of course, you can listen back to every hour of this show. Head to sportsanimalabq.com, click on the opening drive, and you can catch our podcast there. But, Roman Martinez roomed with Drew Gordon when Drew was a redshirt player when he transferred to the University of New Mexico, and just see the emotion there. But that was good to see the coming together. And then they played basketball, and it ended up being a really tight contest. The Enchantment beat the Louisville Alumni 73-71, as now they will head to Houston to start the basketball tournament against the Boise State alumni team in a few days. But solid moment last night if you're out there. Love to hear your thoughts on the event and just kind of what it's become in the summer with the Enchantment, bringing some basketball activities to the 505. It is the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buck joined by Cy Riley, the former Lobo linebacker, just wrapped up playing 4 years at the University of New Mexico. Of course, you can get your thoughts in all morning long. Sports Animal hotline and text line is 505-246-0610. So when is it too much noise? We've been talking about this story a lot throughout the offseason, and you just figured once you get to the start of camps, rookies are reporting, teams are getting ready to show up, it might fade away. But when is it just too much? Brandon Ayuk, it's been yes, it's been no. I'll wait, maybe I won't wait. Well, it came out that he has indeed requested a trade, demanded a trade from the San Francisco 49ers. Multiple sources reporting yesterday. And San Francisco, throughout this whole process, has been like, that's cool, we're not trading you. And you understand it from a player's standpoint when you're in the final year of your deal, and Brandon Ayuk is going to get a contract extension. But he wants that now. He doesn't want to go into the season with no guaranteed money after this season, because playing sports, playing football, things can happen. You can tear up your knee, you can get hurt, and that could ultimately affect your payday. But San Francisco has been adamant. They are not fielding phone calls. They are not trading Brandon Ayuk throughout this process. But when can it become too much? If you're Brandon Ayuk and if you're San Francisco, do you think he can cause enough ruckus to the point where they might take phone calls?
I don't know if he can, just because this is San Francisco that we're talking about. Shanahan's not one to just give players exactly what they want when they want it, especially if it's not to the benefit of the team. And the 49ers have no incentive to trade him besides him saying that he wants to be traded. Like, there's nothing that the 49ers are obligated to do. They can franchise tag him next year. The next 3 years if they won, like, that's just up to them. So there's nothing that he really can do. I mean, this has been a story going back since March, since the new league year opened up. Was Brandon Ayuk, was he in? Was he out? Is he going to be traded before the draft? What teams are available? Washington Commanders have been linked to him with his ties to Jaden Daniels when they played at ASU. So, yeah, I don't see Brandon Ayuk just being dealt with just because he's talking about it and putting it out there in the media. I mean, but the 49ers, they've given their players a lot of money, so somebody's going to get left out. Bosa, Armstead, Fred Warner, CMC, they're still going to have to, or George Kittle, they're still going to have to pay Brock Purdy after this year or the year after, all his money, because he's still playing off of being Mr. Irrelevant money. So, there's a lot of money that's coming up, and they're looking at who they're going to have to give money to, and Brandon Ayuk's just not cutting it for them.
But Brandon Ayuk is a really good receiver, but he's not that dude that can dictate the entire offseason for the 49ers. He's just not, especially if you're San Francisco, Ayuk is a difference maker. But then you go, we still have Deebo Samuel. We still have Christian McCaffrey. We still have George Kittle. So you're part of a really good offense. And if I'm Brandon Ayuk, I understand the game you're playing. You want that guaranteed money. You don't want to go out there in the last year of your contract and maybe miss on a big payday if something happens. You're playing a game of football. But this is also time to bet on yourself. You're in an offense that you are going to be the featured downfield receiver. He was the 7th leading receiver in the NFL last season. I don't think he'll be far off of that. And go bet on yourself. Because if it's not the 49ers, it's going to be someone else that gives him a nice payday. And I think Ayuk he's looking because he sees the market and he's trying to be the next one. But as good as he is, he's not. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, level 1 CD gets paid to reset the market. And so you understand the business back and forth. But some of this, too, is got to be frustrating for San Francisco because you said it. Like, they have proven over the last few years they reward their players. And they're in this position and kind of have an offensive excess for at least one more year because they haven't up Brock Purdy yet. But if you're San Francisco, you were trying – I could see the path that they were taking. Like, all right, Brandon Ayuk, you got one more year left on your deal, $14 million. Here you go. You get through this season. You put together your Brock Purdy contract extension. I think they probably would have moved on from Deebo Samuel at that point because he has an out in his contract, and then move forward with Brandon Ayuk as the number one receiver because they just drafted a receiver in the first round, kind of laying the groundwork of what that offense is going to look like in the future, knowing that the money is going to shift heavily to the quarterback position. But then the 49ers also put Ricky Pearsall, who was their first round pick, on the non-football injury list to start training camp. So if you're San Francisco, it's going to get a little bit messy, but they have said they're not budging. And you mentioned Kyle Shanahan. You look at John Lynch. They're not going to let Brandon Ayuk dictate this offseason. I think really if you're Ayuk, yeah, you want that contract extension and you have that connection with Jaden Daniels, who the Heisman Trophy winner just got drafted by the Washington Commanders, second overall pick in the draft. Excitement there. Oh, you could go to the Steelers. Those are two teams he's mentioned that, yeah, sure, you can go there and get your contract extension, but to win and to get paid, it's going to happen in San Francisco.
Yeah, and it's getting a lot of buzz. Like, why would a dude want to leave a team that's playing for a Super Bowl year in, year out? And I think for the 49ers, that's the reason why they aren't going to move off of him so easily, because he's essential to them playing in February, late February. So yeah, Brandon Ayuk, he's got to find a way to just, I don't want to say suck it up, but find a way to get yourself onto the field, earn your money for next year, just do this final year. Go through contract negotiations again. He said that they haven't negotiated since May, which again, now it's the third week in July. I don't know why why you're just now asking for a trade if you haven't even negotiated since May. But no, play this year out. Give your chance to win a Super Bowl if it is, what you want. If you're more concerned about getting a Super Bowl than, the money that you're making right now, then stay with the 49ers. But if your main goal is to get paid the most, it doesn't matter, about your happiness or where you want to play. Because again, you look at like a guy like Devontae Adams, left a great situation in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers, chased the bag in Las Vegas, and it hasn't panned out for him in his happiness. And now we're looking to see, is he going to go to New York with Aaron Rodgers, back with his old dude? So again, happiness, grass isn't always greener on the other side. But if I'm Brandon Ayuk, just play this 1 year, because the 49ers aren't going to move off you so easily.
Grass isn't always greener, but that bag, man.
Yeah.
It's green.
Yeah.
That's what he wants. He wants that contract extension, and you get it. But I think it's, for the 49ers, they're a team where we've had so many Brandon Ayuk stories. That's not going to derail them, because they're going to be good with or without Brandon Ayuk. And I think that's a challenge. And that's, you don't see it many times where a franchise has the ability to go, no, like we're not. Like, it's different. Like CeeDee Lamb, like the Cowboys have to figure that one out, because without CeeDee Lamb, they don't have a lot to fall back on offensively. He's their elite difference maker. That's the one where it's concerning that the wide receiver's not there. Brandon Ayuk doesn't want to show up. It's just going to be more Deebo Samuel. It's going to be a little bit more George Kittle. It's going to be more Christian McCaffrey. And Brock Purdy is going to continue to show that, yeah, that is a dude, even though he's in a stacked offense, he can continue to get it done. But is anything going to come of Brandon Ayuk? The 49ers, adamant, nah, he's not going anywhere. He's trying to make a lot of noise. But 49ers, they've shown you this group, there's not going to be a lot that shakes them up, that gets them off track. 505-246-0610, Sports Animal Hotline and text line this morning. So can you win a Super Bowl and be disappointed in your season? Well, the Kansas City offense feels that way, and they've won back-to-back championships, and could they still get better? Well, that's the way they feel. We'll dive into that next. It's opening drive here on the Sports Animal.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Miller here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team's going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. CEO, baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
Teenagers love a party, especially during prom and graduation season. Often, alcohol is involved. Some parents think that hosting a party with alcohol in their home will keep the kids safe, but it's wrong and it's illegal. As a parent, to allow your teenagers' underage friends to consume alcohol on your property is a felony. Parents who host lose the most. Don't be a party to teenage drinking.
This is a program of the Drug Free Action Alliance. For more information, go to burnco.gov/do-not-host.
For your surprisingly great rates, contact your local State Farm agent today.
If you want the real deal, call State Farm agent Marty Size in Albuquerque today.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. But it's the people who care that change everything.
Get ready, Sprout, get ready!
My coach, my teacher, my older sisters, my grandma, my brother, my tutor, my dad, and my mom.
As New Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part.
So that no child goes without love.
And no family has to do it all on their own.
They're all our children. Every single person is called to make a difference in the life of a child.
It's up to all of us to do our part.
To pull together.
Pull together.
Pull together.
To make New Mexico the best place to be a kid.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
Hi, my name is Daniel Chavez, and this is my business partner, David Chavez. We are the owners of Indeed Safety. Indeed Safety is a local safety consulting company helping our clients with their safety needs for their projects.
One of the things we pride ourselves as a construction safety company is helping our men and women in construction
get home safe every day to their families. Indy Safety is a proud supporter of ProView Network.
Adrian on ProView Network. You watch the show each and every morning on ProView. When you look at Kansas City, they became the first team in 20 years to win back-to-back Super Bowls. But offensively, they were just 15th in points scored. And we just think Mahomes and Kelsey and the numbers, and of course they're going to be a top 5 offense. Well, they're also just 9th in yards. And it was something at times that had us talking. It's why people flirted with, maybe Travis Kelsey's done. Maybe the Chiefs are missing Tyreek Hill finally in that offense. Well, they worked through some offensive issues, had a stout defense, and all they did was win the Super Bowl again. So that's not one of them just looking to get better. They were disappointed. Mahomes said yesterday upon arriving in training camp, quote, even though we won the Super Bowl last year, we felt like we didn't play our best football, especially offensively. So it's our goal to get better that way and come in with that mentality every single day. It wasn't fun. Every single week trying to just continue to get better and better, and results not paying off the way you want them to. It wasn't a lot of fun. Now, for Mahomes last year, you saw turnovers go up a little bit. 27 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, 4,183 yards, which was his lowest output since 2019. And I think that's why you've seen a shift in the offseason. They drafted a receiver in the first round, Xavier Worthy, out of Texas. They brought over Hollywood Brown in free agency. And that is why Rashee Rice, who the offseason, it's not been good. Rashee Rice is still dealing with a lot of legal trouble down there in Texas from his accident that he was in. But why he's still going to stick around and why Kansas City is going to keep him around, because the rookie last year stepped up with 7 touchdowns, had 79 catches, 938 yards, had a touchdown in 4 postseason games, won the Super Bowl. But you look at this Kansas City offense side, and we were questioning at times last year, they just didn't look the same, but that is a heck of a place to be in. You're back-to-back Super Bowl champs. You're the best quarterback in the game, and you're like, yeah, last year wasn't fun.
Yeah. It's a luxury that they have that nobody else has. Being able to win the Super Bowl back-to-back years, and not only do that, but also still have the best quarterback in the game. So, yeah, it's a luxury that they have that no other team has. I'm looking at the Chiefs here. Patrick Mahomes, worst passer ratings pretty much since he was a rookie, even though he only played 1 game in 2017. So, again, him not being complacent, that just shows what type of person that he is and what type of person he wants to be, player that he wants to be in this league. He's chasing Tom Brady, which nobody thought when Tom Brady retired, like, it was going to be possible. But, he has all the tools and resources that he needs. We're going to look for a Travis Kelsey who didn't break 1,000 yards to get back into the mix. Offensively, being able to, again, be that 1-2 punch. Nobody can guard Travis Kelsey, and he's proven that, especially in the Super Bowl when big plays need to be made. Travis is always going to be there. 87 is going to be there, and Taylor Swift will also be there. So they have a lot of things going for them. And it's going to be a completely different year. Again, you still don't know what's going to happen with Rashee Rice and his speeding troubles, but now they do have Hollywood Brown, who has been around the block now. He's played with Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray. So again, it's going to be a little bit different with him and Patrick Mahomes, somebody who has a solidified wide receiver in this league. Might not have to rely as much on the sophomore in Rashee Rice, and then they still have Pacheco. And they've been a team that has been dominant in the run game last year, so being able to rely on it. So, yeah, it's going to be a weird season for them, but as long as they're able to, again, put teams out of the game with their offense and then also slow teams down because their defense is still dominant.
Yeah, Kansas City is just – they're the model franchise right now. Yes, you have Patrick Mahomes. You have the best quarterback in the game. That he's the guy that's going to make everyone that much better. And you saw that with the receiving core last year. It wasn't good. There were drops. There were games we watched Kadarius Toney have the game bounce off his hands, and you have these questions, and all they did was make plays when it counted in the second half of the season, make those plays in the postseason. Now they're that much better. And Rashee Rice is going to face a suspension. But when Rashee Rice gets back, all of a sudden, you're looking at Rashee Rice. I think Hollywood Brown is going to have a very solid season. How do you feel about Worthy going in? Because I don't think Worthy is ridiculously fast, the receiver out of Texas.
Yeah.
I don't think it's immediately, a situation where Xavier Worthy is 1-for-1 Tyreek Hill, but that explosiveness, Andy Reid is going to have some things up his sleeve.
No, and that's the brilliance of having a guy like Andy Reid. Him being able to determine and create plays for specific guys, being able to get, Worthy out there into space so that he's not having to worry about, being in the middle of the field, catching a hitch and turning around and dropping and receiving a big hit. He's going to be playing within open space, being able to, push the seam and also get in between and behind the safety. So, yeah, somebody that you're going to have to worry about because his top end speed is so fast, like a Tyreek Hill. They won't use him quite essentially the same way just because, again, Worthy's not established in the league. He's still got to get his foot underneath him. But it should be a great year for him, and being able to use him in jet sweeps, being able to throw wide receiver screens to him, and then fades, go routes, stutters. So it's gonna be real interesting in the way that they use him. I see them using him to take the top off, not necessarily for a slant. Taking a slant to the house like a Tyreek Hill, because again, Worthy's so much bigger than Tyreek Hill. But yeah, he's definitely going to be used a lot this season.
And Kansas City, watch out, because they're coming. Patrick Mahomes not happy, disappointed. It was hard last year offensively for Kansas City, and all they did was win another Super Bowl. 505-246-0610, Sports Animal Hotline and text line. You can get in this morning. So when it comes to the top picks, especially at the quarterback position, is that the point where they just need to play? Well, one Hall of Fame receiver is expecting that from his old team. And how do you feel about the rookie quarterbacks? Is it you just got to rip that Band-Aid off and let them go, or is each situation a little bit different? We dive into that next here on The Sports Animal.
This report is sponsored by Allstate.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
If you're drunk, blasted, intoxicated, rip, plastered, destroyed, bruh. If you're like this, you shouldn't be driving.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Miller here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Try this shit better than all my intentions. Locked And shorty, you got my attention. CEO, baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
Hey, look! It's Dwight Goodman! Boom! This place is hot. Let's see if anyone needs my help. How about I drive you madman home, huh? I got this, Dwight. I'm the designated driver. Boom. Sweet? Does anyone need Dwight's help getting home tonight?
No thanks, Romeo. I've got a taxi all lined up.
Drive safe, Dwight. Boom! Boom!
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. But it's the people who care that change everything.
Get ready, Sprout, get ready!
My coach, my teacher, my older sisters, my grandma, my brother, my tutor, my dad, and my mom.
As New Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part.
So that no child goes without love.
And no family has to do it all on their own.
They're all our children. Every single person is called to make a difference in the life of a child.
It's up to all of us to do our part.
To pull together.
Pull together.
Pull together.
To make New Mexico the best place to be a kid.
Teenagers love a party, especially during prom and graduation season. Often, alcohol is involved. Some parents think that hosting a party with alcohol in their home will keep the kids safe.
The Sports Animal.
I might have been a little concerned if you hear a first-round draft pick isn't signed yet. You figure, well, they're slotted. How could the deals not be done? The Bears yesterday didn't have Caleb Williams, didn't have Rome Odunze, the number 1 and number 9 pick, signed. Well, they quickly got that done as Caleb Williams signed his 4-year guaranteed contract worth $39 million. And we know first-round picks do have that 5th-year option, but if things pan out, probably going to see a contract extension before that for Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears, who are looking for a quarterback to throw over 4,000 yards. It seems like everyone just does that in the NFL. Well, not for the Chicago Bears, but they got their rookies locked in. They'll be showing up to camp. Now, only 2 first-round picks remained unsigned. Vikings quarterback J.J. McCarthy and Vikings pass rusher Dallas Turner. So they took McCarthy, first, of course, champion quarterback from Michigan, Dallas Turner out of Alabama, and wondering, why aren't they signed? Why would teams let it get to this point when things are slotted in the draft and not have your first-round pick signed? Well, some of it could just come down to the bonus flow when you get your signing bonuses, kind of remaining guarantees. And that's really what it comes down to for rookies, because you're slotted, but then you can kind of work with the guarantees. When do they kick in? When do you get your money? But you assume J.J. McCarthy going to sign his deal now because he's not going to get more money than Caleb Williams. But lock it in. No reason to mess around with their first round pick. Get them in the camp, rookies reporting throughout the week across the league, and get it done. But then the question is, do you rip that Band-Aid off and do you let them play right away? In Chicago, the answer is yes, because they do have an offense that they did a 180. They looked at Justin Fields, and man, is that staff lucky to get a chance to do it again, because they did not surround Justin Fields with enough to really see if he was the dude, because he wasn't for them. But now Caleb Williams has DJ Moore and Keenan Allen and DeAndre Swift and Cole Kmet. I think McCarthy versus Sam Darnold, it seems like if you believe in J.J. McCarthy, that's an offense you can step into as a rookie and start right away with Kevin O'Connell as your coach. You got Justin Jefferson. Now, Jordan Addison might be facing a few game suspension. We saw the story, his DUI situation. But, they brought over Aaron Jones at the running back position. And then you get to where you have your questions. And is Drake May going to start in a Patriots team that's trying to rebuild everything offensively? To me, Jaden Daniels should start right away. Heisman Trophy winner stepping in to a Washington offense that has some nice weapons. But do you want these guys to just go? Are you okay with sitting and waiting a little bit? It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buck, joined by Cy Riley. When you look at these rookie quarterbacks, every situation is a little bit different when it comes to the coaching staff, the talent around them, but especially just first-round picks. Do you feel that if you're a quarterback that goes in the first round, like you just got to start right away?
It depends on the situation. You look in Atlanta with Michael Penix Jr. and Kirk Cousins. I don't see Michael Penix.
Oh, yeah, Kirk's the dude. They just signed him.
Yeah, exactly. They just signed Kirk, but they still went and got a first-round quarterback. So it depends on the situation. Obviously, if you're the number 1 or number 2 overall pick, or even 3, you got to play right off the bat, because that means that these teams have dictated that, hey, you're our guy, and we're going to work with you moving forward. We see our face of the franchise in you, and we're going to make you that high of selected pick. So in Chicago, that's Caleb Williams, and rightfully so, because of all the things Caleb's been able to do in college football sphere, Heisman Trophy winner, being able to push Lincoln Riley's offense to new levels. And we haven't really seen that since, again, Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield. So, yeah, and they've surrounded him with all the things that he needs in Chicago. They went out and got Keenan Allen. They went out and got DeAndre Swift. They retained DJ Moore, Cole Kmet. And they moved off of Justin Fields, which was their quarterback, that everybody was, 50% in, 50% out. Is he going to be the guy? Does he need the right pieces around him? But they moved off of him and went with this rookie out of USC. So, yeah, Caleb Williams, we expect him to play. Now, when you look in Minnesota, it's a little bit of, it could go either way. I see Sam Darnold, starting just because, again, O'Connell tried it last year, bringing in, quarterbacks to get the job done. Josh Dobbs, again, he had a great start to the year in Arizona. And then when he got to Minnesota, just didn't pan out. Kirk Cousins obviously got hurt and went down for the year. So I see him using Sam Darnold because he's a veteran, and J.J. McCarthy still has some, reads that he has to work out in the NFL. We talk about, him in Michigan being able to hand the ball off to Blake Corum and the Michigan offensive line and being able to run down people's throats. So, yeah, it's going to be a little bit different with J.J. in Minnesota. They still have Justin Jefferson. They have Aaron Jones. They have Jordan Addison when he comes back from his, anticipated suspension. So, yeah, but I see Sam Darnold starting that one.
That one's interesting to me because it's the case of if you're a quarterback in this league,
yeah, and
you want to be a starting quarterback, but what you want to do if it doesn't quite work out is try to go be a backup on a really good team. Because Sam Darnold has done nothing other than be a backup to where all of a sudden we just think he's going to be good because he's going to be in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Like the Jets tenure, going down to Carolina. But yeah, you're a backup quarterback in Kyle Shanahan's offense. You got to be good. And so I do think that's going to be the most fascinating camp battle of the rookies. You know, the one when you look at the Patriots and Jacoby Brissett versus Drake May, that would just be go out there and let Drake play, because we know the Patriots have a lot of work to do with the skill position players. But you know, the McCarthy versus Darnold one is there's different expectations. I think other than Caleb Williams and the Bears, and maybe Jaden Daniels to a certain extent, like Minnesota's the team they feel like they are could compete. And so you're looking at Chicago and Minnesota feeling like, hey, they could be playoff teams right now, and there's no one like a Sam Darnold, and they shouldn't have that question in Chicago anyway when you take Caleb Williams number 1 overall and that offense. I think that's going to be the most fascinating rookie battle. And yeah, you brought up Michael Penix Jr., and I think Michael Penix, he's stoked that he got drafted in the first round. But do you think it's at least 2 years? Like if Kirk Cousins does come back healthy,
yeah,
you feel like he's going to be a starting quarterback for at least 2 years.
Yeah,
for the Falcons.
Yeah, they got to give him 2 years because they paid him all that money, to go get him. So yeah, they're going to give Kurt 2 years to figure it out. This year, obviously coming back off of injury and within a new system, being familiar with the player makers that they have over there, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, being able to actually get started with those guys. So yeah, he's got 2 years to get it figured out. But again, if Michael Penix Jr. shows that he's the guy, I don't see Atlanta just sitting back and waving the thumbs. They'll make the change.
Rookies, do you go with them now or do you sit them? 505-246-0610. We come back on the other side. Kirby Smart open the bag, which a lot of people are wondering about. What happens with NIL money, and does the collective find players? Do coaches find players? And what kind of door does this open? Because Kirby Smart said, yeah, our dudes, they get fined, but it's not by me, it's by our NIL collective. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Hi, I'm Steve Stucker here for Dr. Robert Melendez and the Juliet Eye Institute. You may remember me like this, but no more. The glasses are gone. I tossed them months ago because of a brand new procedure from Dr. Melendez known as RLE, Refractive Lens Exchange. The latest technology, the best eyesight I've ever had in my life, and you can check it out by clicking on the link in the description right here.
ProView Networks would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Hans Whitler Automotive, German car maintenance and repair in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Call 505-294-7684 or visit HansWhitlerAuto.com. International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Miller here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team's going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
You make my heart better. Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. CEO, baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
or surprisingly great rates, contact your local State Farm agent today.
If you want the real deal, call State Farm agent Marty Size in Albuquerque today.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hey, look! It's Dwight Goodman! Boom! This place is hot. Let's see if anyone needs my help. How about I drive you madman home, huh?
I got this, Dwight. I'm the designated driver. Boom.
Sweet. Does anyone need Dwight's help getting home tonight?
No thanks, Romeo. I've got a taxi all lined up.
Now, voted the best sports show in New Mexico for 5 years running. It's the OD in the AM with 3-time New Mexico Sportscaster of the Year, Jeff Symbieta and JJ Buck.
So as we continue to try to find answers to the future of college athletics, just the relationship between the student athletes and universities when it comes to revenue sharing, what are the collectives doing? What can they do versus the coaches and the programs? More and more people openly talking about what's going on, and you're finding out what some collectives have done. It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buck joined by Cy Riley. Cy just wrapped up 4 years playing linebacker at the University of New Mexico. So he's gone through this process as the doors opened up when it comes to the transfer portal, name, image, and likeness. He was in it, dealing with that stuff firsthand, seeing what goes on with coaches, rosters, and players. And as we navigate the world moving forward, how much control does a collective have over rosters and players? Is it a balance between the coaching staff and collectives? Because when there's money involved, there's going to be a lot of feelings involved in it all. 505-246-0610, Sports Animal Hotline and text line for you this morning. So Kirby Smart, SEC Media Days, head coach of Georgia, who, by the way, they got to get a handle on their dudes and their driving, because guess what? If you give a bunch of good players good NIL deals, awesome. But them dudes out there buying race cars, apparently, with all their money. And over 20 incidents for Georgia of reckless driving. There's been 7 arrests in players over the last 2 years. And remember, after the 2022 national championship game, there was actually a Georgia football player and a staffer that were killed in a car accident because 2 people were racing that involved Jalen Carter, and that whole pre-draft process for Jalen Carter before he got drafted to the Eagles. Like, it's been messy for Georgia. But Kirby Smart said he hasn't been the one finding the players because he doesn't control that when it comes to NIL money. He said their collective, the Classic City Collective, over the years has been finding guys for those incidents. He said, quote, "That's not something new. That's something that has been going on that is outside of my jurisdiction, and they decide to do and implement and have done to a considerable amount. We are searching and trying to find the best ways." I know that's been a question out there about who's in control. Yeah, the coach can control playing time. The coach can make you do extra stuff after practice. But when it comes to your NIL deal, is it just, here's your lump sum check? Awesome. And now the collectives are trying to figure out what their role is in this. And Asai, as a player, as someone who just spent the last 4 years trying to navigate this world, and you're going to continue to talk about it and deal with it now, when you hear an NIL collective is finding players Like, what comes to your mind? What do you think about this process of how there's two different entities, trying to, I guess, set a standard for a football team?
It's tough because if I'm a player, being recruited to Georgia, and you're gonna offer me, let's say $1 million, to come and play for the university. If I discover that within the NIL that I can be fined for missing class or not wearing the right things to the lift or, off of the field issues or related things, I'm going to look at another school, maybe a Florida, maybe an Alabama, maybe a Texas, who are offering me the same amount, and they don't have those contingencies, in place. They don't have those fines in place. So it's one of those things where it's like you don't want to be the first school to do it, but there's going to come a time where I think that NIL collective should be fining players for not upholding their end of the bargain, especially when you get into these, driving incidents. It's like this is becoming more than just, a tragedy. This is becoming a character issue for, Georgia, for their football program. And I don't really necessarily like Kirby's response to that, saying that that's not something he can control. You're the head football coach of the winningest program right now in college football. You can control some stuff. You can control whether or not your players have, the mentality of, oh, we can get away with it because we're playing for Georgia. Like, no, uphold your end of the bargain of, being able to create men out of these boys, and also for the other people in the city, for the people, the fans who are attending your games, for the people that you want your players to, the kids that you want your players to be good, not necessarily idols, but you want kids to be encouraged when they see these players and not have to keep reading their name in the news talking about, oh, they're being arrested for DUI, oh, they're being arrested for reckless endangerment, oh, they're being arrested for X, Y, and Z. Like, get a hold of your players, turn these young boys into young men, and treat them like so. If they want to do something stupid, well, guess what? There are consequences for your actions.
I'm with you on that one. I think, it's Kirby saying, well, it's not me. I don't have the NIL fund at my discrepancy. You understand that. When you look at moving forward and how to balance this out and the potential revenue sharing that is around the corner with some of these programs, with all the decisions that have gone on in the courts between the NCAA and college athletics and the student athletes, do you think that this is something that should be more together, where you have your collective, but there's more oversight from the university? How do you feel about it, as a player and as someone, that was in college athletics? Should there be more crossover where there, as you said, that there's some more things on this where, a team can have a little bit more control, where it's not just, all right, yes, you get your NIL money, but you say you want to be compensated. Should these look a little bit more like pro contracts then, where there's, you get your, NIL signing bonus, but then there's some bonuses within that where you get credit for being a student athlete and maybe graduating or hit certain goals, or you get credit for sticking around to play a bowl game for your team. How do you see the future of this shaping out, especially with the debate whether or not student athletes are going to be employees?
Yeah, that's a little murky water right there. Just because, again, if you add these incentives into contracts, if you're telling players to sign contracts, well, then we're going to look at the transfer portal. Players aren't going to be able to transfer as much, limiting their ability to market themselves, especially if their school is sponsored by Nike and Adidas reaches out and they want their to sign this kid. There's the school is sponsored by Nike. You can't do this. So again, it's a little murky because you don't want to take money out the kids' pockets, but there definitely should be some type of obligations that the players have. Now, look, Curry definitely has some control over the NIL. If the head football coach of a group of 5 can control, how NIL gets dispersed between the players. You're darn tootin' that Kirby Smart can control who get money.
It's like the worst kept secret when when they're like, oh, we don't. That's the NIL collective. Come on, we know that you're letting the NIL collective know which dudes you want to contact, which dudes you like. Hey, we gotta get the bag ready for this guy because we want him on the team.
Yeah, so Kirby's just trying to play, Mr. Nice Guy or innocent in the media, but he definitely has control of everything that goes on in the Georgia football program. Same thing that Nick Saban has control over. Now, Nick Saban bowed out because it just got too much when it came to recruiting, and quite frankly, this is what they've been doing. They just don't like that other schools now have the capability to go after their players. When you look at, Oklahoma or Florida State, Clemson, USC, most of the times when you put Alabama and Ohio State and Georgia in front of a kid, Oregon, when they put them in front of a kid, those are the 4 schools that most of the, 5 stars, 4 stars end up going to because, again, they have that power and investment in their players. But now that, again, schools like Boise and Wake Forest and, just schools that you wouldn't even necessarily think of, Illinois, like they now have the power to go get these 5 stars. Colorado now with Deion Sanders, they have the ability to go out and get these 5-star, 4-star kids for their programs. And so, you're going to hear a little bit of backlash from the SEC, the big kids on campus, because it's like, hey, we've been doing this for a while. Why is everybody just now where's our advantage? That's what they're concerned about, their advantage over everybody else.
That's what it comes down to. It is, right? Kirby Smart just trying to joke, man, saying that, oh, he wishes he had the NIL money Oregon does. I think you're all right, Kirby. I think you're doing all right. But that's the game that they're playing. And you mentioned recruiting. And you're like the last of the dudes that play somewhere for 4 years. Like, we're not going to see that happen much. You committed to the University of Mexico. You played 4 years there. So what has changed in the recruiting? And there's a good story on CBS Sports we'll get into. It talks about college basketball, but I think a lot of it does apply to college football in terms of how these head coaches are handling recruiting. And I think it'll also open the door into a good conversation of a program like New Mexico, or these group of 5 teams. How do you find the best avenue to find some consistency when you're going to have so much turnover year in and year out? We'll dive into the recruiting aspect of all this. That's next. The opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
This report is sponsored by FEMA, the Hermit.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Miller here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Try this shit better than all my intentions. Locked in shorty, you got my attention. CEO, baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
ProView Networks would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Hans Whitler Automotive, German car maintenance and repair in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Call 505-294-7684 or visit HansWhitlerAuto.com.
If you're drunk, blasted, intoxicated, rip, plastered, destroyed, bruh. If you're like this, you shouldn't be driving.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Mir here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Try this shit better than all my intentions. Locked in shorty, you got my attention. See your baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
Hi, my name is Daniel Chavez, and this is my business partner, David Chavez. We are the owners of Indeed Safety. Indeed Safety is a local safety consulting company helping our clients with their safety needs for their projects.
One of the things we pride ourselves as a construction safety company is helping our men and women in construction get home safe every day to their families. Indeed Safety is a proud supporter of ProView Network.
Teenagers love a party, especially during prom and graduation season. Often, alcohol is involved. Some parents think that hosting a party with alcohol in their home will keep the kids safe, but it's wrong and it's illegal. As a parent, to allow your teenagers' underage friends to consume alcohol on your property is a felony. Parents who host lose the most. Don't be a party to teenage drinking.
This is a program of the Drug Free Action Alliance. For more information, go to burnco.gov/do-not-host.
It's all part of the game now. Transport, NIL, recruiting. So you got to put teams together. You still play to win the game. You still got to figure out a way to get it done. And I think we're kind of past the point of everyone complaining or saying, woe was me. There's work to be done and just trying to figure out, is there going to be in conferences? Is everyone going to be on the same page? Potentially when it comes to NIL and their collectives. Right now, just raise your money. And then your student athlete, go get your money for what you do. But when it comes to that, there's also the balance between high school and the transfer portal. And we're seeing that right now. It's the summer. What are coaches doing? Well, coaches on the weekend, they're hitting up, especially in basketball, the tournaments that are going on. And there's a different vibe with high school players. And that goes with every sport. Probably more so in basketball right now than anything else. As you mentioned, if you're the elite of the elite, you're still going to get recruited. But the trickle-down effect with high school basketball players, and then also the effect on high school recruiting for college football teams, because it's that balance of, do you try to bring a kid in, and if he's good for 2 years, you know you're going to lose him, or do you just want that immediate fix through the transfer portal? What do you do? It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buck joined by Cy Riley. He just wrapped up 4 years at the University of New Mexico playing linebacker for the Lobos, and you know, you came in at a really tough time. Your first year at University of New Mexico, you guys were the New Mexico Lobos of Las Vegas, Nevada. You know, it was the 2020 season where you did everything on the road, but you stuck around. You had committed to UNM. You stayed here for 4 years. Just what was your mindset behind that whole process?
Yeah, I didn't have enough green chili. But no, I just I don't know. I just saw myself. I'm not a big mover. I don't like moving and everything that comes with that. Now, don't get me wrong. I do like new places and new challenges, but yeah, I just saw myself here for a little bit longer than most guys. 2020. I don't even count that as a year because of everything that was taken away due to the coronavirus. I didn't have my first in-person class till 2022, so it was just a little bit different. I never really got the college experience that everybody else has had, and I just felt that if I moved on, then I'd be putting myself back behind the 8 ball, and I just didn't want to do that again. Plus, Coach G, Coach Long, Coach Rossler, Coach Haywood, Coach Reffitt, Coach Howes, Coach Christian, all the guys, they dope dudes. And then, they gave me an opportunity, and I appreciate them and, for believing in me and, giving my family the ability to watch me on TV, and then, also pushing me to work super, super hard, do things that I never thought were, possible, push myself mentally, as well as physically. So yeah, it was a great change of scenery to come to New Mexico and be there.
And let's keep it on football for now. When you look at recruiting, and it's trying to find a balance, and is there going to be a perfect balance in all this? No, because there's not a perfect scenario to anything when you're trying to build in sport. But especially football, what do you see the challenges for group of 5 teams, or even like right now in New Mexico, of trying to build some consistency? Because in football you need some of that build up, trying to keep guys together 2 years, 3-4 years, that's a pipe dream now. But in recruiting and being able to bring kids in and develop, but mesh that with the portal, with what you've experienced, and now Bronco Mendenhall moving forward too, how do you attack trying to put a competitive team together in this era?
Well, it depends on what type of university you are. If you're a football-led university, well, then, you're going to start seeing schools put more of their collective together for football players, to bring in that higher talent. When you're a two-way school, like Duke now, like Tennessee, Alabama, teams that have been really good in both sports, football and basketball, you're going to get a bigger pool of, number one, media markets, number two, talent-wise, because now these kids are like, okay, this school is legit on both sides, and then when you have, if you're a basketball school like a UConn, whose football team isn't good at all, but their women's team and their men's team in basketball absolutely dominate. South Carolina, the same thing could be said for them. Like, you're going to get that type of selection, that type of target audience. So it just depends on what type of university you want to be. If in case of New Mexico, our men's basketball team has been leading the way for, the past couple of years. Women's basketball was, before men's got it going, women's basketball was kind of doing that to the same level that the men are now. Football really we haven't been as we need to be for a while now. So it's just a little bit tougher. But if you can sell a recruiter, or not a recruiter, but if you can sell a recruit on being the change that, a university needs on this football, platform, if you're trying to get into that two-way school, two-way university of being proficient in football and basketball, well, then you can sell recruits on being that catalyst for the change on the football side.
Yeah, it just still sounds like right now, and kind of what you just said, it's in this moment of time, the biggest swing is still the NIL game. It sounds like just making sure you have that collective to compete, not necessarily worrying about the numbers of high school players versus other players. It's just having that ability to, when you get to that point in the conversation, saying, yes, we have something to offer. We have something to interest you to come here, and that's the way it's going to be. And I think the mentality with what Bronco Mendenhall is trying to bring to Lobo football, the earned, not given. Like, that's great because I think players still want to be challenged. Players want to be pushed in this day and age, even when I think student athletes get a bad rap all the time because of the portal and NIL. But it's how do you balance that, understanding you have to play the game. It's kind of, I think what you just laid out is the NIL game is, as for the foreseeable future right now, is still what's going to sway you. It's still going to be the difference maker when it comes to recruiting, not necessarily saying, oh, we're going to have 20% portal players versus 30% high school kids in the recruiting class. It's just at this point in time, get the talent that you can and where you can get it.
And that's the great thing about Coach Mendenhall is because you're going to start seeing these coaches that are either like pushing the NIL agenda or really laxing about the hard work, kind of what everybody's been used to before. And so Coach Mendenhall, he's going to, accept NIL and, utilize that to the best of his ability so that he's able to get the best out of the players, be able to recruit the best players, so that there's continued success here at the university. But again, he's not going to go out of his way to make sure that there's a whole bunch of money, for kids if they haven't earned it. We see that with what's been happening in Georgia. I can't say that these young men haven't earned, everything that's been given to them because, again, I'm a football player. I understand the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into it. Preparing your body, your mind, being able to dominate on the field. So I understand that part. But, again, there's got to be some type of standard that you uphold players to. You see that out of Colorado with Kamari Jackson, 5-star DB who, again, when Deion Sanders came to Colorado, was able to poach this talent away from USC and, gets over to Colorado, and everybody's wondering last year why he's not playing. Well, again, he just hadn't put himself in the right position to play, given, his tardiness to meetings, him not being able to stay awake in the meeting room, not being able to perform the way that he needs to perform on the practice field. And then when he leaves Colorado, the same thing's happening at Florida. And now everybody's looking at, instead of looking at Deion Sanders, everybody's looking at Kamari Jackson because it's like, dude, what are you doing? So, again, you're going to have these situations where it's like either you're going to be all NIL, and, push that agenda, or you're going to be one of those guys that accepts it. But, again, let's do the hard work.
Do the hard work. Then the biggest shift that we have seen is in college basketball. And what are some of the big-time college coaches saying about how they're constructing their teams in this era? We'll tell you what they have to say. It's coming up next here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal.
This report is brought to you by United Way of North Central New Mexico.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. ProView Networks would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Hans Whitler Automotive, German car maintenance and repair in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Call 505-294-7684 or visit HansWhitlerAuto.com.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep. All your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
Hi, I'm Steve Stucker here for Dr. Robert Melendez and the Juliet Eye Institute. You may remember me like this, but no more. The glasses are gone. I tossed them months ago because of a brand new procedure from Dr. Melendez known as RLE, Refractive Lens Exchange. The latest technology, the best eyesight I've ever had in my life, and you can check it out by clicking on the link in the description right here.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Everguard Roofing and Solar. For nearly 20 years, Everguard Roofing and Solar has been working with New Mexicans to enhance their homes and businesses. For all your roofing and solar needs in New Mexico, call 505-821-9543. We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
If you're drunk, blasted, intoxicated, ripped, plastered, taint, destroyed, bruh. If you're like this, you shouldn't be driving.
I was born in New Mexico. I grew up on these streets. I got in trouble here, and I fought my way back in boot camp. I love New Mexico, especially the people. Now I'm using my training, tenacity, and energy to fight for you.
I'm Adam Oki, lawyer, fighter, and New Mexican. I was a local athlete here in New Mexico, so I'm proud to support your local athletes.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Jacory Krosky-Miller here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team's going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. CEO, baby, I give you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
Teenagers love a party, especially during prom and graduation season. Often, alcohol is involved. Some parents think that hosting a party with alcohol in their home will keep the kids safe, but it's wrong and it's illegal. As a parent, to allow your teenagers' underage friends to consume alcohol on your property is
point underdogs to Montana State.
That's crazy.
It does sound crazy, but that's the unknown right now of the game. The turnover for the Lobos, the turnover within the Mountain West Conference. But we've kind of dove into the question about recruiting and team building. We were talking about Kirby Smart and his comments about how the NIL collective at Georgia has been finding players. You're trying to build team character, and kind of who is in charge of that. Well, ultimately, it still comes down to the head coach to set the tone, but the NIL plays such a big factor. And with that, how are teams recruiting? And this is a time of year, especially for college basketball, you have a lot of the high school events going on. And I know I was talking with some of the women's basketball coaches last week that this past weekend, they were all over the place. There were some, in Kentucky, there were some in Indiana. So you still have that aspect of it. If you're going out, you're trying to recruit, but it's figuring out the balance. Do you try to go in and get transfers? The answer is yes. And do you try to find some diamonds in the rough with high school kids? Yes, there's no perfect to it, but you still got to play the entire game. And Gary Parrish, CBS Sports, had an interesting column that I was reading about this, and he went to the Peach Jam. And if you've heard of the Peach Jam, it's a big-time basketball event in Atlanta for high school recruits and high school kids. And he said it's an entirely different vibe these days. And he used to go to the Peach Jam, and it'd be a lot of headbanging. Those coaches working hard. And he said it's a laid-back feel, and it's because of what the transfer portal has done. And you look at a coach that people know around here, former New Mexico State head coach, now Mississippi State head coach Chris Jans. He said, quote, unless you're a program that's going to recruit all portal kids, you're still going to want to sign some good high school players, but you just don't have to sign as many. So the pressure probably isn't as fierce as it once was for the whole staff, because in this era of recruiting, if you sign one or two high school prospects early, you're going to feel pretty good about that. And I think that was probably the easiest way to sum up where college athletics is as a whole right now. The pressure's off, but, put yourself in this situation. How would you feel, Sai? Because even you go back to, when you were getting recruited, 2018, 2019, before you committed to the University of New Mexico, there was still, I think, there was a bigger shift, a bigger focus on high school kids. Just what do you think the mindset is now of just trying to get recruited in this era coming out of high school?
Well, the biggest difference is that when you go and you grab a high school kid now, you look and you're like, all right, this is 2-3 years down the line. Now, in college football, everything's changing. So, again, if I'm a coach, I'm not looking 2-3 years down the line. I'm like, all right, I need to go get me a bigger bag at a different school. So let me go get this kid that can give me the same production, if not more, out of the transfer portal. So I think that's kind of where we're seeing those high school numbers drop. And, I've been saying this for a while now. It's kind of sad because, again, we had, I think, 24 people signed in my class. When you go in and get in high school kids, these smaller schools, you don't have, again, the NIL resources to compete with a school like Alabama. But when you go and you grab these kids out of high school, you still got to give them time to develop and come into their body and then come into what it's like to play college football. And then you're not getting the amount of production or, one award to play that you might get from a fifth year or a fourth year or a third year in the transfer portal. Somebody who's transferring down, transferring from, let's say, Alabama's third or fourth string linebacker. Now, guess what? They want to come to a school like Boise or, Wake Forest or Appalachian State, New Mexico. They want to come down, be that go-to guy for the university so that then they can get themselves out there into, the NFL draft scouts, minds and get them to start coming to practice. So you're going to see this trickle-down effect of the higher talents coming down to, Power 5 or a group of 5 schools, And then, you know, the group of 5 schools are like, okay, well, we don't need this 17-year-old kid out of Louisiana because we got this 22-year-old, you know, 3-year college football veteran from
Nebraska,
Clemson.
you name
Yeah.
it. Yeah, and that's a challenge, and I think that's what it is. You know, when you try to lay expectations as a fan, and you want to support your team out there, just figuring out a way to survive. That's what it is now for the players, for the coaches, and those windows are smaller and smaller. You already know how hard it is to work and win in college athletics, and the ton of pressure that's there, and the coaches' jobs that are all on the line, and now trying to, as you said, balance bringing that kid in. And then that kid, too, if he becomes good, well, guess what? He's going to be good for someone else. But then on the backside, he's just set out, you know, how do you, if you're a group of 5 team, then you got to be able to find those guys that were good, might not have an opportunity, but they've been maybe a second stringer somewhere else, come down. And it's just navigating the waters, man. It's like anything. It's learning a new way to compete. But I still think with all this being said, and it comes back to the fan base. And I know at times fans can get really frustrated. They get upset with so much turnover. They're like, well, how are we ever going to get to know these players? You have to adjust your mindset a little bit as a sports fan this day when it comes to college football. And the one thing I will go back to is whether it's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or 4, even if NIL money is involved, but if a young student athlete puts on that jersey, decides to represent the school you root for, just go all in for that year.
Yeah.
Like Cy Riley, you decided to represent the University of Mexico, and you wound up doing it for 4 years.
Yeah. And
that was great. But if it's 1 or 2, I'm just saying from a fan's perspective, just support them while they're wearing the jersey.
I mean, a great example of that is JT Toppin, you know, a guy who they plucked from high school, true freshman, got him to New Mexico, flourished, you know, was an All-American, gets in front of the combine for the NBA scouts, decides, okay, you know what, I'm going to come back to college basketball and I'm going to be a Texas Tech Raider. And yeah, you know, even unless they go out and win the national championship, which they can do because Texas Tech is pretty good in basketball, unless they go out and win the, you know, college championship, New Mexico can always claim JT Toppin because, again, we're the school that was able to, that he decided to come to, that he decided to, you know, make a name for himself at, and he flourished. He was able to, you know, protect the rim, run down the floor, dunk on people, you know, grab rebounds one hand while fending off somebody else. Like, and then again, creating that environment within the community, going out, you know, doing social projects, attending elementary schools, you know, reading books, doing food drives. Like, New Mexico will also always be able to claim JT, even though he was only here for 1 year, and he probably will never be back underneath the UNM, you know, flagship. So, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, if you have a premier talent, because the dynamics of college sports are changing so much, go all in, like you just said, JJ. Go all in with your players, with your team. Because, again, our football team has 60 new roster additions. Who's to say next year we don't have 75? Who's to say next year we don't have 25? You know, so it's just one of those things where it's like no team is the same. No team is the same. No player is the same. No coach is the same. This conference, our football conference, has seven new head coaches. Like, things change all the time. So while you have your players, while you have your coaches, while you have the schemes, you got to go all in.
505-246-0610, Sports Animal Hotline and text line this morning. What do you think about just going all in? It's a year-to-year business, and it might even be year-to-year as a fan. We are hours away now from the start of the Open, the last major championship in golf, and Tiger Woods got a little bit salty responding to someone who said, dude, you need to hang it up. We'll get into that next here on The Sports Animal.
This report is sponsored.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
These days, it's important to know people and businesses you can trust. There's a lot of places where you can buy a vehicle, but there's only a few local dealerships where you'll find honest people who have your best interests in mind. And Fiesta Kia is one of them. We've been helping our neighbors save money and drive dependable cars for years, and we'd love to help you. With new Kias arriving daily, you'll love our selection and the peace of mind you'll get driving a Kia from Fiesta. So stop by and see us today at Fiesta Kia on Lomas, or just start driving now at fiestakia.com.
I was born in New Mexico. I grew up on these streets. I got in trouble here, and I fought my way back in boot camp. I love New Mexico, especially the people. Now I'm using my training, tenacity, and energy to fight for you. I'm Adam Oki, lawyer, fighter, and New Mexican. I was a local athlete here in New Mexico, so I'm proud to support your local athletes.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Hi, I'm Steve Stunker here for Dr. Robert Melendez and the Juliet Eye Institute. You may remember me like this, but no more. The glasses are gone. I tossed them months ago because of a brand new procedure from Dr. Melendez known as RLE, Refractive Lens Exchange. The latest technology, the best eyesight I've ever had in my life, and you can check it out by clicking on the link in the description right here.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Miller here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team's going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Try this shit better than all my intentions. Locked in shorty, you got my attention. CEO, baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. But it's the people who care that change everything.
Get ready, Sprout, get ready.
My coach, my teacher, my older sisters, my grandma, my brother, my tutor, my dad, and my mom.
As New Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part,
so that no child goes without love.
And no family has to do it all on their own.
They're all our children. Every single person is called to make a difference in the life of a child.
It's up to all of us to do our part.
To pull together.
Pull together.
Pull together.
To make New Mexico the best place to be a kid.
I was born in New Mexico. I grew up on these streets. I got in trouble here, and I fought my way back in boot camp. I love New Mexico, especially the people. Now I'm using my training, tenacity, and energy to fight for you. I'm Adam Oki, lawyer, fighter, and New Mexican. I was a local athlete here in New Mexico, so I'm proud to support your local athletes.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Hi, my name is Daniel Chavez, and this is my business partner, David Chavez. We are the owners of Indeed Safety. Indeed Safety is a local safety consulting company helping our clients with their safety needs for their projects.
One of the things we pride ourselves as a construction safety company is helping our men and women in construction get home safe every day to their families. Indeed Safety is a proud supporter of ProView Network.
Hi, I'm Steve Stucker here for Dr. Robert Melendez and the Juliet Eye Institute. You may remember me like this, but no more. The glasses are gone. I tossed them months ago because of a brand new procedure from Dr. Melendez known as RLE, Refractive Lens Exchange. The latest technology, the best eyesight I've ever had in my life, and you can check it out by clicking on the link in the description right here.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us. And my wife and our daughter, they didn't make it.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a #1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Teenagers love a party, especially during prom and graduation season. Often, alcohol is involved. Some parents think that hosting a party with alcohol in their home will keep the kids safe, but it's wrong and it's illegal. As a parent, to allow your teenagers' underage friends to consume alcohol on your property is a felony. Parents who host lose the most. Don't be a party to teenage drinking.
This is a program of the Drug Free Action Alliance. For more information, go to burnco.gov/do-not-host.
Sports animal. Even with one of the greatest ever, and Tiger Woods in that conversation, yes, changed the game. Your expectations have to change for him. When you watch Tiger Woods, what are you expecting? I'm not expecting Tiger Woods to go out there and dominate. We're well past that. It's the point of, can he make the weekend? And for a lot of people, they're like, I don't want that. It's Tiger Woods. I don't need to see Tiger Woods limping around a golf course. Just hang it up so I have the memories. Tiger Woods saying, not so fast, my friend. He's ready for the Open. And it is the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal. J.J. Buck, Cy Riley with you this morning. So Colin Montgomery, Scottish golfer, was talking, of course, you got the Open. You had the Scottish Open last week. The Open tees off tomorrow. He made some headlines because he was talking in an interview with the Times of London. And he said, quote, there's a time for all sportsmen to say goodbye. But it's very difficult to tell Tiger it's time to go. Obviously, he still feels he can win. We are more realistic. Where Tiger Woods was asked about that comment yesterday, and Tiger responded, quote, well, as a past champion, I'm exempt until I'm 60. Colin's not. He's not a past champion, so he's not exempt. So he doesn't get the opportunity to make the decision I do. Good response from Tiger Woods. And when it comes to Tiger, I have adjusted my expectations. I am fine. The game of golf is different, where we can look at someone like Tiger Woods and watch him go, well, I don't expect him to win, but I'm not viewing him through that lens. I'm okay with Tiger still chasing this. I'm okay with Tiger still playing really just a major schedule if he can at this point in his career, because there's just still something about watching Tiger Woods, even if he's limping around, even if he's missing the cut, that You know what? I'm Team Tiger Woods on this. I've adjusted my expectations. I don't feel bad about watching Tiger play now. I just know it's a different stage in his career.
Yeah. And it's a little bit of a flex too. Like,
yeah.
Hey bro, you ain't never won. All right. I mean, I got to see Tiger play eye to eye back in February at the Genesis Invitational. My cousin Beverly, she was able to get me tickets to the event, so I was able to go. And man, it was nothing like it. Like the crowd that he still draws, you know, at 48, even though he has been playing at the top of his game, like it's Tiger Woods. Like we think about all the things and accomplishments that he has to his name, and what he's done for the sport of golf. Like by all means, he can decide when he's done. Just like the same thing with Tom Brady. When Tom Brady decided that, you know what, I'm done, we all sat back and we watched him say, okay, he's done. And then he came back, but then he was like, all right, I'm officially done. So with Tiger Woods, I feel like the greatest of all time, we have to give them the courtesy to call it when they decide to. And that's just that.
I'm Team Tiger on this one, man. I've adjusted. This is just a different phase. This is enjoying the Tiger Woods, not watching him, expecting him, and feeling bad that he's not the dude he once was. Like, golf allows you different phases. It allows you different stages. And I'm with Tiger on this one. If he wants to go out there and just try to play majors, try to make cuts, then I'm okay with that. I know that's what I'm buying into with Tiger at this stage of his career. But what are you buying into with Tiger Woods and the Open that tees off tomorrow? We come back on the other side. Are flashes enough? Are flashes enough? It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Mir here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Try this shit better than all my intentions. Like and shorty, you got my attention. See your baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
A burglary takes place in the United States approximately every 15 seconds. International Protective Service is your answer for commercial and residential security in all of Albuquerque. IPS will work with your monitoring company for fast, reliable response times. You can rest easy knowing you, your family, or your company is watched over by International Protective Service. Call International Protective Service today.
For your surprisingly great rates, contact your local State Farm agent today.
If you want the real deal, call State Farm agent Marty Size in Albuquerque today.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
If you're drunk, blasted, intoxicated, rip, plastered, destroyed, bruh. If you're like this, you shouldn't be driving.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us. And my wife and our daughter, they didn't make it.
Hi, I'm Steve Stucker here for Dr. Robert Melendez and the Juliet Eye Institute. You may remember me like this, but no more. The glasses are gone. I tossed them months ago because of a brand new procedure from Dr. Melendez known as RLE, Refractive Lens Exchange. The latest technology, the best eyesight I've ever had in my life, and you can check it out by clicking on the link in the description right here.
Hi, my name is Daniel Chavez, and this is my business partner, David Chavez. We are the owners of Indeed Safety. Indeed Safety is a local safety consulting company helping our clients with their safety needs for their projects.
Here, Jeff Symbieta and JJ Bond.
Well, there's been one professional athlete over the last few years that's had the biggest get out of jail free card. The biggest. That's Deshaun Watson, quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. But are flashes enough? The Browns are desperate. That's why with all that baggage, they still threw all those draft picks at Houston and guaranteed the man $250 million to play quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, to take that franchise to the next level. All for what? So we could watch Joe Flacco be the comeback player of the year and lead the Cleveland Browns to the playoffs, and not Deshaun Watson. But are flashes enough? But at some point in time, Cleveland is going to have to be willing to pull that trigger and realize it was a mistake. But they got one more year. But there's people that are still all in on Deshaun Watson. What it do? Welcome into the opening drive. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday morning. 505-246-0610, Sports Animal Hotline and text line. JJ Buck joined by Cy Riley, former Lobo linebacker, now podcaster, broadcaster, dropping the takes on the opening drive. Well, Deshaun Watson, you got to figure at some point in time he'd be under pressure. Like, you just can't keep going if you're not getting the performance, whether it's being injured, not available. They dealt with it with the suspension, but the time, it has to be now. If you listen to Browns right guard Wyatt Teller, he thinks it is there. Teller was doing an interview with Tyler Dunn of Go Long, and he said, quote, he's seen flashes of absolute greatness from Watson. And he uttered the name, Patrick Mahomes. He said, quote, I would love to say he has glimpses of Patty Mahomes. Patty Mahomes is a once-in-a-lifetime guy. I mean, he's insane. And he has great outlets. He has great receivers. He has a great defense. And I believe that Deshaun has that. I truly do. I've seen glimpses of it. And that's, of course, why Cleveland is still all in on Deshaun Watson. It's the price that they paid, not only in draft capital, but with that contract. But can we have that trust? I think there was a moment in time before everything went down with Deshaun Watson and you realized his off-the-field issues that he was that guy. And he had flashes of that. And I think it all changed. Now it's the off-the-field stuff. Yes, that's what happened. That's the character. That's what you have to figure out with what you believe in Deshaun Watson. But that game where they had that playoff lead in Kansas City over Patrick Mahomes, and then who won that game? Well, Patty Mahomes and the Chiefs won that game. And since then, it's been all downhill from Deshaun Watson. And I just don't know if those flashes are ever going to turn into anything.
Yeah, it's tough because he took a year off, you know. I can't really say he took a year off, but he was a year battling, you know, in the legal system. So, yeah, when you take a year from the game to come back, there's going to be a little bit of rust. And how much rust, you know, needs to be shaken off to see him, you know, back to that level. I don't know why. It might just be because Patrick Mahomes is so great, but I feel like everybody says their quarterback has some version of Patrick Mahomes. Like Tyreek Hill was talking about Tua being a mini version of Patrick Mahomes, but even more accurate than the dude who just went back to back in the Super Bowls. Like, so I don't know if that's a great comparison for Deshaun. Now, his play in Houston before, you know, he got in all of his legal troubles was very comparable to Patrick Mahomes. But now what he's doing and has done in Cleveland, not being healthy, even when he is healthy, you're paying quarterback $250 million, he's not a game changer, then why are you paying him that much money? If you're losing to the Pittsburgh Steelers, year in, year out, why are you paying him that much money? But I guess that was just their assumption that when, they took him from Houston, he was going to be able to return to the level that they saw, in Houston. He just hasn't panned out for him.
Yeah, and we don't need, as you said, to go down that entire road. We know something has been off with Deshaun Watson. And, Cleveland, what they did last year at the end of the season, it showed you that they feel that they are that close. And they have built a talented roster. What they have defensively, Myles Garrett, Ward in the secondary, they have those franchise pieces. Amari Cooper. Jerry Jeudy is going to be a fascinating one to me because was it the lack of everything else in Denver, or is Jerry Jeudy set to take off in an offense? They traded for him, gave him a contract extension. David Njoku, the running game that they had after Nick Chubb, like the pieces are there for Cleveland. Like they went to the playoffs with the quarterbacks they went through, with Joe Flacco leading that team. So are flashes enough? And when you have a roster like the Browns, I think that's what you're looking for. You guaranteed him that entire contract. I don't think you're ever going to get that Deshaun Watson again, but if you can get flashes, that's what the Browns feel that they're going to be competitive in. And I think that's one of those things you just have to come to that realization if you're Cleveland going, yeah, we paid all those draft picks, we paid him that money. Just be a consistent presence. But I think that is even a giant question right now for Deshaun Watson. 505-246-0610. Cleveland Mike, I'm sure you have something to say about this. What's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys doing this morning?
Doing good, man.
Good.
Nice. So, first of all, I just want to say, and yes, I am a Cleveland Browns fan, but all these people who judge Deshaun Watson, they've never had a massage with a happy ending, and it shows.
I can understand that one.
Yeah. So, before people judge, you got to be in that same situation. It's pretty much a two consenting adult thing. But anyway, I think this year is our year, and I hope that we can get another playoff win under our belt because I've only seen one in my whole entire life.
Yeah, and Cleveland Mike, that is why Cleveland was desperate to go all in with Deshaun Watson, even with that baggage, even with the reason he was away from the game for a year, the draft capital they invested in him, the contract that they gave him, because they wanted that quarterback play. And, he is, every year you can go into an NFL season and look at, especially the quarterback position, and say, there's a ton of pressure. And it's really felt like we haven't done that with Deshaun Watson, just because if you're Cleveland, you almost can be in that situation. Like, you have to see this out. Like, you have to go to the end with everything you invested to get him and then what you paid him. But I'm wondering with what they've done as a franchise over the last few years, like the stability in the front office, Kevin Stefanski at head coach, has been a guy that they rewarded. There's contract extensions there, that if it's more of the same and it's an up and down year from Deshaun Watson, I think now's the time you start saying you probably are just going to have to eat that contract.
Yeah. And, JJ, I would ask you, like, if you get the production, because we talked about game changers versus game managers before, if you get the same production as a Brock Purdy in San Francisco and you get that out of Deshaun Watson, is his value, is that a $250 million value from a quarterback? If he's able to get the ball to his playmakers, if they're able to run the ball efficiently, if Amari Cooper is thriving, if Jerry Jeudy is thriving, if David Njoku is thriving, if Myles Garrett is teeing off on every quarterback that he sees, if Ward is grabbing interceptions, like if the Cleveland Browns are able to do, if Deshaun Watson is able to do what Brock Purdy is able to do in San Francisco and he replicates that in Cleveland, is he worthy of that contract? Does that contract make a little bit more sense? $250 million?
If you got Brock Purdy production out of Deshaun Watson, the answer to that question is yes. Because then I believe the Cleveland Browns would win that division, would be better than Cincinnati and the Baltimore Ravens in that case. And yes, I think that is just what we're waiting for if you're Cleveland, that payoff of that contract. And the with Deshaun Watson, yeah, he's getting paid like a top 5 quarterback. He's obviously hasn't been that. But if you're saying it's Brock Purdy production, that's in the conversation.
Yeah.
At least for a top 5 to 10 for that specific season. So the answer to that question is absolutely. Then you'd be living up to that value. Because if you're getting that kind of quarterback play, then I think Cleveland vaults into AFC Championship territory.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I play with them in Madden all the time. Like, because again, they have the pieces there on that team. The roster is built for them to win now, especially, you know, going back and with Baker Mayfield after they beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in the playoffs, routed us. You know, they go on the next year. It's like, okay, what happened? This is supposed to be Baker Mayfield taking off. Things regress. So again, that's why I posed the question, because again, if Deshaun Watson, if we're not seeing these flashes, if he's just being able to distribute the ball like Brock Purdy does to Debo, to CMC, to George.
So here's a question to you. I'll throw it back to you. You don't sound like you believe in Brock as a guy that is a difference maker as opposed to just a guy in a system.
Oh, no. Brock Purdy is a different. Compared to Jimmy Garoppolo and what they had before, Brock Purdy is an upgrade over what they've had before. But I'm just like, the thing that I'm kind of I get conflicted about is, you know, they're paying Deshaun Watson $250 million. Would they be okay with his play not being, you know, $250 million play if it's 185? You know, if it's being able.
To me that if I'm Brock Purdy, I'm taking that clip of what you just said, going to San Francisco and going, bro, I'm a $250 million quarterback.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. If Deshaun Watson replicates the same thing that Brock Purdy does in San Francisco, if I'm Brock Purdy, well, then I need the same back that he just got, and I've done more, you know, with my pieces that I've been surrounded with, and he's done less. So that's my thing. It's like, okay, we're coming towards the end of Deshaun Watson's contract. Brock Purdy has been able to make great use out of all the talent that he has around him. Again, if Deshaun Watson's not making the quote-unquote flashes of Patrick Mahomes that the players are seeing in practice, if he's not replicating that on Sundays, and Brock Purdy, you know, is doing what he's doing in San Francisco, if their play is comparable and the outcomes are comparable, well, then if I'm Brock Purdy, I'm looking at $250 million. But if I'm the Cleveland Browns, I don't want Brock Purdy play. I want Patrick Mahomes play. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. And that's brings up also an interesting question when you look at the landscape of these teams. Is it the system, the talent versus the right quarterback? And this is the challenge. And Brock Purdy, San Francisco, they're going to answer that question after this year. Miami, Tua Tagovailoa are having that battle right now. Yeah, you led the league in passing, but are you that dude? And I think with Tua, we understand he's not that dude, but what's his right value? And all these things work together in terms of how you can build your franchise and keeping it in quarterbacks that are looking for some consistency. You know, Cleveland, we know they have the team to win. Are they going to have the quarterback play to win? Well, every team in that division, you go from Baltimore, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, they have an established foundation. You know they're going to be competitive. So if you look at the questions that Cleveland has, what do you think about the answer to the question for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Russell Wilson or Justin Fields? Is Pittsburgh one and done at quarterback this season, or can they find some consistency? We'll get into that next. The opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
The Jim Rome Show.
Running Mania is kind of like...
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Mir here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Try this shit better than all my intentions. Locked in shorty, you got my attention. See your baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
I was born in New Mexico. I grew up on these streets. I got in trouble here, and I fought my way back in boot camp. I love New Mexico, especially the people. Now I'm using my training, tenacity, and energy to fight for you.
I'm Adam Oki, lawyer, fighter, and New Mexican. I was a local athlete here in New Mexico, so I'm proud to support your local athletes.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
Teenagers love a party, especially during prom and graduation season. Often, alcohol is involved. Some parents think that hosting a party with alcohol in their home will keep the kids safe, but it's wrong and it's illegal. As a parent, to allow your teenagers' underage friends to consume alcohol on your property is a felony. Parents who host lose the most. Don't be a party to teenage drinking.
This is a program of the Drug Free Action Alliance. For more information, go to burnco.gov/do-not-host.
Hey, look! It's Dwight Goodman! This place is hot. Let's see if anyone needs my help. How about I drive you madman home, huh?
I got this, Dwight. I'm the designated driver. Boom.
Sweet. Does anyone need Dwight's help getting home tonight?
No thanks, Romeo. I've got a taxi all lined up.
Drive safe, Dwight. Boom! Boom!
Seriously? You expect me to drive while you aren't wearing seatbelts? What's the worst that can happen? Seriously? Buckle up. Okay. Thank you.
For your surprisingly great rates, contact your local State Farm agent today.
If you want the real deal, call State Farm agent Marty Size in Albuquerque today.
5.9 FM and AM 610. The Sports Animal.
Well, training camp upon us. We have a lot of questions to be answered when it comes to position battles. The quarterback question, we discussed it a little bit earlier in the show. The rookies, do you let them go right away? I think the answer is yes for the top two. I think New England's in an interesting spot. Do they want to give Drake May a little bit of room to develop, or just throw him out there? Like, let him play. And I think some of the first-round quarterbacks, more times than not, just throw them out there, let them go, because there's different expectations in different places. But what about a team that retooled it all at the quarterback position? And that's the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buck joined by Cy Riley, former Lobo linebacker. He's wrapped up 4 years playing at the University of New Mexico. The Steelers this offseason moved on from Kenny Pickett, the first-round pick from a few years ago. Mason Rudolph said, "Thank you, sir." You took him from the team. You handled the helmet smashing very well. We salute you. Good job. Good effort. And they went out, acquired Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Really, two dudes in the opposite end of the quarterback spectrum right now. Justin Fields, you're just waiting. You know the explosiveness, the hype, but can he kind of put it all together in the passing game, be more efficient? Russell Wilson, who was a disappointment for the Denver Broncos, but you look at now not having that huge contract weighing over his head in Pittsburgh, maybe being what we're discussing so much now, just a game manager. The Steelers, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. The offseason talk has been it's Russell Wilson's job to lose. I think it continues, but what do you think happens at Pittsburgh?
Man, look, because for those of you that don't know, the Pittsburgh Steelers are my team. And, ever since 2018, really, the last great year we had of the Triple Bs, it's been kind of mediocre quarterback play. And so I'm very excited about both Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. I think they're both a better option than what we've had in the past, whether that be Kenny Pickett or Mason Rudolph or even, the end of Big Ben. And I expect a good quarterback battle, in camp. I know that Mike Tomlin came out and said that this is Russell Wilson's job, and he's kind of been owning it with the ones and been operating as the presumptive starter. But again, when you have a dynamic playmaker as Justin Fields, somebody whose game reminds me of Russell Wilson in his early time in Seattle, being able to make plays outside the pocket, but Justin Fields also being able to run 60, 80 yards down the field with his legs. It's going to be an exciting season. I know everybody has Pittsburgh finishing 8-9, last in the AFC North, it looks like. And that's just credit to the Cincinnati Bengals, the Baltimore Ravens, and what everybody expects the Cleveland Browns to be and should be. But again, when you have the roster, the defense that they have, led by T.J. Watt, Hayward, Minka, now Joey Porter Jr. being a staple, a good DB that everybody's kind of, eye watching a little bit, see how much more production we're going to get out of him. So yeah, it's an exciting time to be a Pittsburgh Steeler.
It is. It's one that it's really fascinating, the position that they put themselves in. And I think for Pittsburgh, they've been good. And some people say, you get stuck in purgatory because you don't have that top pick. You don't bottom out to get a chance at that elite talent. But that's, not necessarily always where you find those guys. Ben Roethlisberger wasn't the top pick of that draft. You go back and think of that class when it was Phillip Rivers and Eli Manning. And then they were able to land Big Ben in that draft class. And I think for an organization that, all right, they tried with Kenny Pickett, didn't like it, and you look at what was out there this offseason, the fact that you had all the quarterbacks go high in this draft, I'm okay with the position they put themselves in because they also gave themselves an out after this year. And they didn't overcommit to any of these guys. They were able to get Russell Wilson on the cheap because of everything that happened in Denver. And the same thing with Justin Fields is you have this high upside, the explosiveness of Justin Fields, and maybe you're looking for a little bit more consistency at a higher level than you ever got out of Kenny Pickett or even Mason Rudolph in an offense from Russell Wilson. And if it still doesn't quite live up to what you want, you are able to then, again, attack it next offseason. Maybe they are in a position where they want to spend a little bit more draft capital and then move up and go after one of these young quarterbacks. Or, and I know we've broached the topic before, someone like Dak Prescott does hit the market. How do you feel about Dak Prescott as quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers?
I feel good about it. Again, we haven't had good quarterback play in a while. And I think what makes this offseason so exciting is that we've actually, gone out and did something outside of the Steelers' way. The Steelers' way is to stand pat, use the guys that you have, get the most value out of them, and, hopefully it is what it is. Like, hopefully they play good enough so that they can, go on and do it again next year and replicate the same thing. Well, that's not the way Omar Khan has decided to, go about things this offseason. He was like, all right, we're going out. We're going to get Russell Wilson, and then the next day we're going to go get Justin Fields, and we're going to completely revamp this quarterback room. So, if both things go awry, if Russell Wilson doesn't pan out to be a great one-year success story, if Justin Fields, if that trade, who we didn't even give up a first-round draft pick for, that everybody was saying Justin Fields might be 2 first-round draft picks when his first name came on the trading block. We didn't even give up. I think we gave up a 6th round. I don't know.
It was a late round pick.
Yeah, so we didn't even give up a high draft pick for him. If that doesn't work out, we're able to move off of both. Dak Prescott obviously is coming off one of his best years with the Dallas Cowboys. Now, he can't win in the playoffs, but again, if you come over to the AFC, where you're able to get that tough grind experience, when you get a little bit of an edge to you, when you get outside the comfort of playing in a dome and you're playing in cold weather games, when you're playing in the hardest and toughest division in the NFL, like, it'll do something to you. So again, if Dak Prescott is available and he's ready to become a Pittsburgh Steeler, by golly, man, we're all for it.
We'll see what happens after this season, as Dallas feels like they're saying, hey, go win multiple playoff games, and then we'll give you that contract. But do you have trust that Dallas is going to get that done? And then it feels like Dak Prescott, regardless to what happens in Dallas this season, his market is still going to be fine if he becomes a free agent after this year. 505-246-0610, Sports Animal Hotline and text line this morning. When we come back on the other side, we're going to look at some sleeper teams. And is there a team ready to explode in the desert with the pieces that they have? We'll get into that next. The opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Teenagers love a party, especially during prom and graduation season. Often, alcohol is involved. Some parents think that hosting a party with alcohol in their home will keep the kids safe, but it's wrong and it's illegal. As a parent, to allow your teenagers' underage friends to consume alcohol on your property is a felony. Parents who host lose the most. Don't be a party to teenage drinking.
This is a program of the Drug Free Action Alliance. For more information, go to burnco.gov/do-not-host.
We here at Clark's Pet Emporium welcome you to bring in your pets. We know that having your pet with you makes the experience of shopping for them even better. And we welcome you to bring your kids also. Clark's Pet Emporium, your pet's second best friend.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Mir here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Try this shit better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. CEO, baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
Well, this is the team that Jeff Zimbieta has been talking about as he's on board. And I think I agree with him. And the hype, it's starting to ramp up. It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buck, Cy Riley with you this morning. Is it time to buy stock in the desert? You're looking for those teams that miss the playoffs that can make the jump and become a playoff team. It happens every year in the NFL. And one of the teams that's going to be battling in a division that has one legit favorite and three teams that feel they are playoff caliber teams. Now it's the NFC West. And are the Arizona Cardinals ready for takeoff? Kyler Murray was able to shake off some of the rust last year coming back from his knee injury. And then they went out there and they drafted the first receiver off the board, Marvin Harrison Jr. 28 touchdowns at Ohio State. Everyone all in with Harrison Jr. as a number one with one of those elite sailings. And then you saw the emergence of a former Colorado State player, the tight end Trey McBride last year. Trey McBride had himself an exceptional season, and McBride is already liking what he's seeing from Marvin Harrison Jr. He said, quote, "Guy's elite. He's a freak of nature." It's one of those things where a guy of his stature shouldn't be able to move the way he does, shouldn't be as fast as he is, shouldn't be able to catch the ball the way he does. Everything he does is elite. Now, it's easy to fall in love with Marvin Harrison Jr., but is Arizona a team we should be looking at as a sleeper team, as a wild card contender? I don't think they can take the division. I'm still giving that to San Francisco. But now all of a sudden, we saw the Rams get to the playoffs. We know that Seattle, a little bit more streaky with Geno Smith at quarterback. But if you throw Arizona into the mix, which one of those teams could be a wild card team out of the NFC West? And if Kyler Murray, speaking of flashes, shows he's fully healthy, I think Arizona is in position to be that team that makes the jump next season.
Yeah, Arizona is one of those teams that's kind of like logged into the number 3, spot of their division. If they have a really good year, it's number 2, right? We all know that San Francisco should be number 1, and then the Los Angeles Rams, with the amount of offensive talent that they have, obviously losing Aaron Donald, for one of the greatest defensive players of all time on defense, is going to be, tough for them to overcome. Same thing, they don't have Jalen Ramsey. He's in Miami. He got traded last year. So it's going to be a little bit, adjustment for the Rams. But if I'm Arizona, I'm looking at them and I'm like, oh, I can kind of get past you a little bit. They have great offensive weapons: James Conner, Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, who I've covered. I've played against. There's one time we were in auto coverage, which means if there's a down tight end, you pick him up man to man. If he's in a Y off or you sting position, you have the running backs, and you would ghost rush. But anyways, he's in a down tight end position, hand on the line of scrimmage, and red zone area. My stupid behind decides, okay, I'm gonna give him inside. I'm gonna play outside leverage, and he runs a corner route, and he still ends up outside of me, and I'm like, dang, this dude is a beast. But no, he's very talented. He was able to come on and start the season really strong. He had a really great preseason last year. So, it's very, very interesting. They have an interesting group. Their defense, I think, could use a little bit of help. They don't have Isaiah Simmons, but they still have Budda Baker, who is one of the best safeties in the game. Zaire White as the middle linebacker, and Zaven Collins, who's been a wreak of havoc, for quarterbacks a little bit. So yeah, they still have some pieces that they need to improve on defense. But if the offense, if Kyler Murray is dealing like he was when he first came into the league, if he can stay healthy, this could be a scary wild card team.
Yeah, because you look at in the NFC, and if you're trying to get 6th or 7th with those last 2 wild card spots. Of course, there's 3 wild card spots. But if you look at last year, the Rams were 10-7. They were the 6th seed. The Packers were 9-8, and they were the 7th seed. And I think we look at Green Bay, and I think Green Bay and Detroit are going to be battling 10 or 11 wins to win that division. And then you see, all right, who are going to be the wild card contenders? You still have the Rams there with Stafford in that offense. You have the Seattle Seahawks, which would be in that conversation, very similar to Arizona. Probably whoever doesn't win the NFC South, just like last year when it came down, you look at Tampa Bay, New Orleans are 9-8. So you have to put that team in there. The Atlanta Falcons would be in the discussion because if you get healthy Kirk Cousins, are they then a favorite in the division? And then you look at the Chicago Bears and these wild card teams that we're saying probably 8 to 10
About
wins.
8,
10 wins feels like you would lock yourself into a wild card position. But then also, how do you feel? We've had the discussion about JJ McCarthy versus Sam Darnold. The Vikings, talent-wise, feel like they should be a team that's in the discussion. So that's all of a sudden a lot more teams in the NFC that feel that they're in that race. Another team I would throw out there that I kind of have this feeling about, and I am a huge Jaden Daniels fan. It's the Commanders. And knowing that he's going in there, he has a legit number 1 wide receiver, Terry McLaurin. You look at Robinson and Eckler. I think that's a solid duo in the backfield. You're telling me I can dump off a lot of third down check downs to Austin Eckler. I still think he can be a difference maker. You said, the question is defensively, felt like the Commanders had a lot more there. Of the teams at the bottom, when you're talking about the Giants, the Commanders, the Cardinals, the Panthers, outside of Arizona, I'd say maybe the Commanders, they get some of that flash and the hand from Jaden Daniels, could be that team that makes some noise, but it's also going to be tough for them because, the Giants should be a little more competitive with a healthy Daniel Jones. And then, of course, what the Cowboys and Giants do. Is there anyone else, though, you look at just the bottom, that you could see making a big jump in the NFC?
I just made a quick list here of teams that you won't consider powerhouses. Like, you won't look at their schedule and be like, okay, they should go 13-4 or 12-5. So yeah, I got the Vikings, Commanders, Rams, Cardinals, and then I didn't even include the NFC South because they just been the NFC South.
Yeah, 9-8 won that division last year for.
Yeah. So I'm not even going to consider any of those teams. Falcons. Yeah, I could think about the Falcons, but I'm one of those guys where you got to show me. Yeah, you got to show me. Especially Kirk Cousins coming off of injury in a new system, new situation, new head coach. So it's one of those things where, like, show me first. You have the pieces. Same thing with the Cleveland Browns. You have the pieces in place. You got to show me. Carolina, if Bryce Young can take a step forward, he has a couple of playmakers around him now. Can we certify that offensive line? And then you look at the Saints. I mean, is it Carr? Is it Derek Carr? Is he still the quarterback?
Yeah, Derek Carr is still their quarterback, and Derek Carr has become, I think, we used to have this conversation about like Kirk Cousins. I think Derek Carr is now kind of like the league average.
Yeah.
If you're trying to rank quarterbacks and put it in tier, I think Derek Carr has become like your league average quarterback, which is good, not great, but you might have a ceiling in that offense. I like Chris Olave a lot, but Alvin Kamara, is there still enough juice left there? And that's why they're in that battle of just being a 9-win team in that division. And then if we flip it quickly too, you look at the AFC, you look at the Steelers last year.
Yeah.
They put 10 wins together. So it took 10 wins to get the last playoff spot in the AFC. And you figure, all right, Cincinnati is going to be better. Even though it's a giant question mark. Joe Burrow's like Joel Embiid. We get it.
Yeah.
But Joe Burrow's done it.
Yeah.
We've seen him win playoff games. We've seen him go to the Super Bowl. And then it's all of a sudden you have the Bengals in that equation. And the Jaguars put a full season together, hot start bad finish. But then you say the Colts were a 9-win team, and now you got Anthony Richardson taking over. Of course, the Jets, we've had that discussion about the influence of Aaron Rodgers. I like Tennessee with going all in on offense around Will Levis. And then you have the teams that I just don't know if they make that jump. The Denver Broncos, who made big news yesterday, they signed Quentin Miners, their guard, to an $80 million contract. And get this, and if you think about Denver and what they've done as a franchise, the investment, the $80 million contract to the guard for the Broncos is the 5th largest contract that franchise has ever handed out.
Wow.
So they haven't been paying up for a lot of talent recently, and now all the pressure is on Sean Payton, who has never really worked with a young quarterback. Can he develop Bo Nix? And I still think it's crazy. Speaking of first-round quarterbacks, we didn't throw the Broncos into that mix just yet, that there's still questions and a lot of buzz coming from Denver that they don't know who their starting quarterback is going to be.
Yeah.
With Bo Nix, Jarrett Stidham versus Zach Wilson, but that's a team right now that they lack offensive talent. So I don't trust the Broncos a lot this season. They somehow, some way pieced together 8 wins last year with the mess that was the relationship between Russell Wilson and Sean Payton and that franchise as a whole, just because I think they lack so much skill position talent in that team. And I think the Patriots, it's going to be a long road for them, so I don't see them making that jump. And a team you look at too is the Chargers. I know we were kind of dabbling in this discussion yesterday about ranking the quarterback, how the league feels about the quarterback position. Well, the Chargers are a team that has 0 marquee skill position players, but yet a marquee quarterback.
Yeah.
And so how's that going to play out for them?
It's, here's the thing. When you have a hardball, like, they're going to make do with what they got. And that's the brilliant thing of having a head coach who believes in every single man can, I can get some production and value out of. So, yeah, they don't have Keenan Allen. They don't have Mike Williams. They don't have Austin Eckler. They didn't have all these pieces that they had the year prior. But, again, now they have a new face. They still have the dude that can make plays by himself and Justin Herbert, being able to stand in the pocket, again, run over you if you wanted to, and deliver throws on every single level. So you still have the Chargers. My sleeper, I look at Indianapolis with Anthony Richardson and what he was able to do before the injury. Like, he was taking over the league. He was going to be, the C.J. Stroud before C.J. Stroud came up and went on that tear. If I look at the Indianapolis Colts, they still have, a great offensive line. Their defense is consistent. Anthony Richardson provides them a quarterback that can, put his shoulder down and run over people, but you don't want him taking as many hits. So is he going to be durable? Is he going to last the entire season? But the small sample size that we're able to see from him, he was playing against Patrick Mahomes. He was playing against the Lions. Very, very tough games. So, yeah, it's going to be a heck of a year for, sleeper teams in the AFC. I think 10 wins, which is crazy. 10 wins doesn't even guarantee you a playoff spot.
Yeah, that's a large number. Even as they expanded it to 7, that's what
7,
got the Steelers in. They were 10-7 and got the 7th seed in the AFC. And if we're trying to say sleeper and come out of nowhere, there's not a lot of those teams in the AFC that you can just say, oh, that would be surprising to me. So the names that would be surprising, and if you're placing that long shot bet, you're trying to drop the hot take, it would be, I think, Denver. The Vegas could be in there.
Raiders,
because of the quarterback play, would be surprising teams of actually making a strong statement I think Arizona makes a jump, or I think Washington makes a jump, because I don't really feel that way about anyone else. The Patriots aren't making that jump. I can't go there and say all of a sudden that they're going to be a playoff team next year in wild card contention, because with the Jets, it's not breaking news. Aaron Rodgers is coming back. You believe that they think they're going to compete for that division, as you said. The Colts with Anthony Richardson, the Jaguars. So there's not a lot of surprises. It would be really the Broncos and the Raiders. Can those teams be playoff teams, be wild card teams next season. How do you feel about teams making that jump in the playoffs next year? 505-246-0610, Sports Animal Hotline and text line. When we come back on the other side, we got some correspondence from you, which we will dive into, and it's in the game. The college football playoff. Do we already know the majority of what the playoff is going to be before the season even starts? It's next here on The Sports Animal.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. But it's the people who care that change everything.
Get ready, Sprout, get ready!
My coach. My teacher. My older sisters. My grandma. My brother. My tutor. My dad and my mom.
As New Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part.
So that no child goes without love.
And no family has to do it all on their own.
They're all our children. Every single person is called to make a difference in the life of a child.
It's up to all of us to do our part.
To pull together.
Pull together.
Pull together.
To make New Mexico the best place to be a kid.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us. And my wife and our daughter, they didn't make it.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Mir here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. CEO, baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
I was born in New Mexico. I grew up on these streets. I got in trouble here, and I fought my way back in boot camp. I love New Mexico, especially the people. Now I'm using my training, tenacity, and energy to fight for you.
I'm Adam Oki, lawyer, fighter, and New Mexican. I was a local athlete here in New Mexico, so I'm proud to support your local athletes.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Everguard Roofing and Solar. For nearly 20 years, Everguard Roofing and Solar has been working with New Mexicans to enhance their homes and businesses. For all your roofing and solar needs in New Mexico, call 505-821-9543.
Hey, look! It's Dwight Goodman! Boom! This place is hot. Let's see if anyone needs my help. How about I drive you madman home, huh?
I got this, Dwight. I'm the designated driver. Boom.
Sweet. Does anyone need Dwight's help getting home tonight?
No thanks, Romeo. I've got a taxi all lined up.
Drive safe, Dwight.
Boom! Boom!
Albuquerque's leader in sports is Pro View. From pros to prep. All your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on Pro View Networks.
Teenagers love a party, especially during prom and graduation season. Often, alcohol is involved. Some parents think that hosting a party with alcohol in their home will keep the kids safe, but it's wrong and it's illegal. As a parent, to allow your teenagers' underage friends to consume alcohol on your property is a felony. Parents who host lose the most. Don't be a party to teenage drinking.
This is a program of the Drug Free Action Alliance. For more information, go to burnco.gov/do-not-host.
This morning, hitting a lot of things that are going on in the sports world. It is never slow. Can't act like it's slow when you're doing this job. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buck, Cy Riley with you this morning, former Lobo linebacker, broadcaster, podcaster. Now he's in the rotation. Now, once you agree to do this, man, you got to know I'm going to be hitting you up, and you're going to have to be waking up in the morning. You're going to be doing the show.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. He's locked in, Bob.
Well, that's good.
That's Bobcat holding it down. Of course, Adrian on ProView Networks, all the areas you can consume the show and have some reaction to what we've been talking about this morning. Had a texter when we were discussing buy or sell when it comes to the MLB division races. He said, hey, don't sleep on the Red Sox. And they've been getting going. Of course, they had Jarren Duran hit the go-ahead home run. He was the MVP of the All-Star game last night. I won't sleep on them, put them into the mix when we were discussing the race down the stretch between the Orioles and Yankees. Had Steve get in on our discussion. We're talking about NIL and building teams in this era and how coaches versus a collective are like holding players accountable. Steve was asking, well, when it comes to basketball, what are the back end, players 7, 8, 9, and 10? Are they going to get paid? Yeah, a lot of those are going to try to get a deal at some point in time. And he asked about playing time, and that's a question you have to answer. Is if you're a player of the caliber to get a good NIL deal, all right, if you're getting that, it feels like you should be in line for playing time. But at the bigger schools, is it, hey, I'm at least getting a check, but I'm not playing? And then you transfer to go play somewhere else? These are all questions for people. And then on Tiger Woods, Tiger Woods telling everyone to back off. Paul Montgomery is saying, he needs to retire. And Tiger Woods saying yesterday, well, I've won this event. I can choose when to not play in the event. And that is, of course, the Open Championship, which he's off tomorrow. Terry got in via the email. He said he never thought he'd be watching Tiger Woods play and it'd just be about orange slices and participation trophies at this point. But the point with Tiger Woods is, as Terry mentioned, you look at Tom Watson. It was close in the final round of the Open. Phil Mickelson winning a major championship in his 50s. You feel that you can have that one moment still. And Tiger Woods is chasing that moment. It might not come, and I've adjusted my expectations with Tiger Woods because I think you can have separate careers in the game of golf as opposed to expectations watching, Kobe Bryant at the end or something like that. And that's where we are with Tiger. It is a little bit about just keeping your fingers crossed, rooting if he makes the cut as opposed to winning a major championship. 505-246-0610. That's how you can get involved with the show, Sports Animal Hotline and text line. So EA Sports, it's in the game. And so you told us yesterday that you were actually in the college football game.
I am.
With the rosters. That's awesome, just to have that moment. And I know someone actually hit us up the other day on that, saying that with UNM and earning your number thing, that they're going to have some adjustments still and some roster updates moving forward in the game. But that's just an awesome thing to be in a video game. And we've seen that with NIL, name, image, and likeness, that paved the way for the college football game to come back. And so all these college athletes are in there. Have you got a chance to play it yet?
I have not. I just downloaded the game onto my PlayStation. I got back late last night, but no, I was able to get the code in, so I'm downloading that, and then. But no, I've been busy. But
yeah, you going in though, Dynasty? You starting with the Lobos? It's okay if you stay there. If you don't want that rebuild, because this is a lot of options, man.
Well, I wouldn't say that I'm afraid to start with the Lobos. I think that I would have to. I don't know. I personally, I kind of want to start with like an ACC school.
Get comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Get where you're good with the new passing mechanics
exactly.
And everything, and then go into a harder Dynasty rebuild. Man, the hours I spent playing this game growing up.
Oh, you've already played it?
I haven't played this one yet.
But okay.
I was like NCAA football 08 was one of my favorite games. Like I'm that dude now that's just gushing that it's back. Like the amount of time that I've invested in recruiting players and building games in college football is crazy. Like I wish I could actually put it on a resume and send it to a school in real life. They're like, look, hire me on. I know how to do this. I could work for your college football program. But there's, such a buzz around this game because it's really bringing two generations together. The people that grew up playing this game and now guys like you that are actually in the game and get a chance to play it. It's awesome. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's definitely bringing a new dynamic to college athletics, and it's a new era of college football too, with the 12-team college football playoff that we will be here. And I think we know what's going to happen. We know that there's 5 spots. It's 4 power conferences, the highest rated group of 5 team. But I believe that it will actually be an easy selection process. Because I think the team that loses the Big Ten championship, the SEC championship, probably at this point in time, the Big 12 championship are going to be
in. Yep.
So we're looking at really honestly just 4 at-large spots for the college football playoff, which I still think will make the regular season very interesting, even if there is a little room for error now.
Yeah, they'll throw in a group of 5 school. I think a great year for a group of 5 school will be two teams getting in. I know last year, before everything went awry, Air Force was looking like they could be one of those schools vying for a college football playoff spot. But it's going to be real interesting. I think the perfect seed is going to be the 3 seed because you still get the bye. You play against whoever wins the 7-10 matchup, and then you play 2 or 1. So that's great stuff. I look forward to breaking that more down with you soon. That is Cy Riley, 2 days on the opening drive. Great stuff, man. Appreciate it. I always love this, man. Appreciate you, JJ.
He is
and Bob.
In the rotation now. He is in the rotation, so you're going to be hearing more from Cy. Bob, appreciate you. Adrian Proby, thank you so much for what you've done. We got Jim Rome Show coming up next. Colin Cowherd at 1, 2 men on at 4, everybody. Medical peace and love. Have a great day.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online